Welcome to Hurricane Preview 94. I'm Sam Trivolino of Adelphia Cable, and with me is Newcastle Red Hurricane coach Nick Rapone. Hello, Coach.
Hello, Sam. Great to be with you.
Good to be with you, too.
Likewise.
Behind us, Coach, is Phil Breidenbach, Lindy Lauro Field. Being alumni, both of us, being alumni of this program, I've often told many people that this field, the grass, the seed, the stadium is sacred. What do you think?
Sam, you couldn't have said it any better. It is sacred. Tiger Stadium's sacred. The field's sacred. Why, Sam? Because so many great football players for so many years gave of themselves so Newcastle High School, Newcastle community, the Red Hurricane football team could achieve a level that very few high schools have achieved. When you're talking about, Sam, we're the 10th winningest high school of all time, well, I'll tell you what, they won the football games on this grass. So that's why it's so sacred.
Describe tradition to me.
Tradition to me, Sam, tradition to me is somebody handing something down to somebody else special. And when he hands it down, he says, listen, handle this with care. It's taken years for us to get it to the place it is right now. I did my best with what I had. I tried hard when we were down, and when we were winning, I tried even harder. Now, talking from a senior to a sophomore now, it's time for you to step up. It's time for you to buckle it up on Friday night and represent yourself, this community, and Red Hurricane football. To me, Sam, that's tradition.
Coach, we talked to some other former alumni, and here's what they had to say about tradition.
To tell you what, it was probably the most exciting time of a young man's life, especially if you grew up with a football family. It started with my oldest brother, Tony, playing football, and I remember going to games when Ellen Cuffey played. He was probably one of the best backs I've ever seen, with him and Jesse Moss I've ever seen play football anywhere. You get excited, you're 15, you're junior high school, you're coming to watch the high school play, and you wait for the day for you to be on that field, to be part of it. Newcastle always had a tradition of pride, hard-working young men that come out there to give their best. The coaching staff gave you everything they got, and you didn't want to lose because you didn't want to go out the next day and embarrass yourself because the public expected you to win, and you played for yourself and for the public. And as a young man, knowing that you had an opportunity to do that, you gave everything you got, and you hope one day you can be on the field to do the same thing these guys were doing that you were watching.
People always say, I always talk to people, and they tell you that, what's it feel like? And I say, well, it's the most exciting thing that ever happened. As soon as those lights turn on, it's just, words can't describe it. I mean, it's just a thrill.
When you're a young person growing up, it's a look forward to the fall. It starts in the summer. A lot of hard work, a lot of camaraderie, a lot of people here that stick together, and that's how things work. It's a team game, whether it's the players being close, the people being close, and it's the community being close too.
Newcastle football, I think, is a very special thing. When I think of Notre Dame in college, I think of Newcastle in high school. We have great tradition. We want to build that back up. I was a part of it as a player. I want to be there when it gets back to the top as a coach.
Coach, you have often stated the pride is within oneself. What do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean, Sam, is each and every individual at some point in time has to decide what he's all about and what he's willing to fight for. So, we can talk about instilling pride, and you do as soon as you put a Hurricane helmet on, believe me. But it comes from within. Each and every person has to find out what he really wants to fight for, what he really wants to stand for, what he's willing to do when all the odds say you can't do it. Is he willing to come back from 21-0? Does he believe in his investment, in his buddies? Pride to me, Sam, is doing the best you can with what you have under any conditions.
So you're talking about giving 100 to 150% to 200% at all times.
Well, I'm talking about you having a standard of excellence and willing to fight for that standard of excellence.
Coach, there are a lot of 50-yard fans. Every Friday night they come out, every Saturday afternoon they want to participate.
Yes.
They think they know how to coach. They believe they know the betterment of the team, how to motivate those 11 men. But very few want to do the preparation, want to participate. So what I want to get at here, what I want to bring to our audience is that you don't start September 4th, 1994. You began preparation on this 1994 squad November 1993. After the gun sounded at the fourth quarter of the last game of last year, you began preparing this 48, 50-guy squad November. And I want you to walk us through, let our audience know how you as the head coach and your assistants developed these 48 students into men from November 93 to right now, August 1994.
Well, first of all, Sam, what we did was 1 week before the season was over last year, we gathered all the underclassmen together. And we told them we were going to our last football game against Fox Chapel, that as soon as that game was over, you needed to take 5 days off. And then after 5 days off, we needed to start for the 1994 season. And that the 1994 season will be decided in the next 4 or 5 months. And they, you know, and they looked a little puzzled. And what we tried to explain to them, Sam, is just like the farmer. You know, the farmer goes out there and he has to plow the ground. After he plows the ground, he has to plant the seed. Then he has to wait, you know, 2 or 3 months until that crop comes up. Now, within all that time, there may be a drought, there may be a flood. Well, each and every day he has to go to work on that field. And that's exactly what we try to tell our kids. You have to start working now. There's only 10 ball games, and they start in September. You know, we're not a light switch. We just can't walk in a room and turn a light switch on. We have to be ready to go. So what we did was we decided the first thing we need to do is get bigger and stronger. So we started our weight program. And we started that 1 week after our last game. And we lifted 3 days a week. We lifted the day before Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving. You know, the day before Christmas and the day after Christmas. And we continued our weightlifting, Sam. And then when we hit the spring, when we got into spring sports, we told the kids, we want you to participate in other sports. You know, I want my kids to be around Carmen Acera, John Sarandria, you know, along those lines. If they didn't play baseball and if they weren't playing basketball, then we wanted them out for track. We wanted them to compete and we wanted them to stick together as a group of young guys so they get to know you. You know, they just don't come in the locker room, Sam, and all of a sudden put their shoulder pads on. I want to know when I line up next to Joe Robchek, is he going to be there? Is he going to be there to play 1? Is he going to be there to play 54?
Is that why in the locker room you have a sign? If you're not able to make summer practice, forget about the
well, that's exactly the same. Everybody wants to play Friday night. Everybody wants to coach Friday night. You know, I mean, everybody wants to be that farmer when he harvests the crop and that money comes in. Who wants to be the farmer when he's out there plowing the fields at 5:30 in the morning? See, the farmer understands he has to invest. So what we're trying to tell our kids is, hey, you want to reap the dividends. You want to play, Sam. We have a saying, if you want to play in December for the high school championship, you got to play today. That's what we're trying to tell our kids.
In a brief description, give me some of your overall strategies for this team.
Overall strategies as far as this team's concerned is we need to get, I'm going to say it again, bigger and stronger and faster, Sam. They need to have confidence that their bodies are bigger, stronger, and faster. I mean, we keep very accurate charts. Every young man is going up in the bench. Every young man is going up in the squat. They now know within themselves they're stronger and bigger and faster than they were last year. So in their own minds, they're better prepared to go into the football game.
Tell me how important is speed?
Speed, well, right now, everybody's running. You know, on defense, you're only as good as how close you get to the football. So if you're never around the football, you're no good on defense. And on offense, you know, the defensive people are running everywhere. I mean, you got to be able to move your feet. If you can't get there, you can't hit them. You know, we talk about out hitting people. Well, if you can't get there to hit them, what good are you?
Coach, when we return, we will look at the 94 squad, individually by players and coaches. So stay with us.
Come on, Nicky, get the shoulders turned. There it is. There it is, G. Nice job. Nice job, G.
Listen for this 6-second beep. It may save your life.
Right here, stacked. Bend your knees. Linebackers, you must play draw first. Always play draw. Okay, let's go. Brandon, your natural reaction will be to jump up. Don't jump up on this. Stay deep, stay deep, stay deep. Outside, outside, outside. There we go! Get to the ball, get to the ball. Get to the ball.
Welcome back to Hurricane Preview 94. I'm Sam Trivolino of Adelphia Cable, and we have with me Newcastle Red Hurricane coach Nick Rapone. Coach, before we get involved with more questions and more highlights of your staff and your squad, maybe you want to make mention of some of the Red Hurricane sponsors this year.
Well, Sam, we have 9 businesses who have really done a tremendous job in helping me get this program off the ground, and they've been with us, the bulk of them have been with us 2 years, and we're talking about Jim Fagan from Precision Feed and Screw, Dan Harris from the YMCA. We are talking about Davey Hassan from State Farm. We're also talking about Pizza Joe. And these people have just done a tremendous job, and they're behind us 100%.
Davey, being an alumni, I'm sure he's backing you 150%.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Well, Coach, so much has been talked about you coming back here from your collegiate days. One philosophical question I have is this job harder rebuilding this squad than you ever imagined?
Is it harder, Sam? It's challenging, Sam. It's extremely challenging because, see, I left 20 years ago, and I did not come back. You know, I mean, I came back and visited my parents, but I wasn't a part of this community for 20 years. So my picture of Newcastle football was a little different of Newcastle football when I came back. And, you know, you talk about tradition and so on and so forth. Well, like anything else, sometimes the old house gets run down and you got to do some repairing. So I think that's what we're in the means of doing right now. We're trying to repair this big old house. It's still standing, and it's going to stand for a long, long time. But it's challenging, Sam. But then again, Sam, if it wasn't challenging, I wouldn't have taken it.
Well, you're a man of challenge. I can rest assured, based upon knowing you all my life. I know that nothing came easy to you, Coach. You worked your tail off to get wherever you got to.
Well, we all did, Sam. I mean, that's Newcastle football. We're all blue-collar guys, and we just wanted to be a part of something.
Why don't you introduce the 1994 Red Hurricane squad right now?
Sounds great, Sam. Sounds great. Gene DeGennaro is going to be our starting strong safety and battling for a quarterback position. Mike Morgan is an up-and-coming sophomore quarterback. TJ Kelly is, at this point, battling for a center position and battling for a defensive line position. Nicky Rapko, an up-and-coming sophomore fullback, and we just moved him to defensive line. Matt Book is going to give us some valuable time where we can rest Jeremy Budai at Sam Backer. Josh Cameron is another one of our young sophomores who we're high on. Jimmy Pizzone, good sophomore guard who had to fill in for Jacob Billick in the Sharon scrimmage. Jamel Clark is another one of our sophomore group that we're excited about. Michael Jackson, coming off that 9th grade Ben Franklin team, is going to play defensive end and offensive tackle for us. Mike Kessler, you talking about a little bit of tradition. Mike Kessler is Joe Allegro's nephew. So as soon as I heard he was Joe Allegro's nephew, I said, my goodness, how many Kesslers are there? Michael Kessler is another one of that sophomore group. Nicholas Cannon, 6'3", 245-pound sophomore who was injured in the summer and has yet to suit up for us, but we're excited about him. Justin Shields, a junior offensive tackle who is going to be able to give some valuable backup time. Mike Sad, senior. Mike's had a bum shoulder, and we're waiting for him to get back on gear so we can look at him at guard. Jason Scott, one of our starting offensive right guards, and he's battling for a defensive line job, and he's trimming down to about 300 pounds and looking good. Maurice Perkins, really a lot of talent in Maurice Perkins. We're just waiting for him in the next couple of weeks to come on. Another one of our young sophomore class. Sam, we're real excited about this sophomore class. Brandon Carter, our third-team tailback. Again, here's another sophomore. Against the Elwood scrimmage, he had a 45-yard run. Against Sharon scrimmage, he had an interception. Manny Brown, another young man who came out for the track program, and then he liked track and decided to come out for the football program. Philip Clark, his brother's Jamel Clark, and he hurt his shoulder doing two-a-days, and we're waiting for him to come back and rejoin. John Kosher is another one of those young people that came out on a track team, and from track he decided to come out and play football. Sean Crescido, just unbelievable effort in Sean Crescido. He's a junior tight end. Larry Joseph's another one of those juniors, and Larry, we're counting on Larry to back us up at that tackle position. John Paul Million, I keep saying, another sophomore who's just getting better and better. Ron DePorzio. Ronnie had to fill in and start against Sharon at outside linebacker because Nicky Lewis was down, and Ronnie's going to have to play some tight end for us. Victor Cabellas. Victor's our junior quarterback who started the last game of the year against Fox Chap when he's battling Gene DeGennaro out for a starting job. E.J. DeCarbo, another young person who's going to have to play some fullback for us behind Budai, and he's going to have to play some linebacker for us behind Orlando Waller. Ricky Pinella, another one of those sophomore guards who's just going to get better and better. Sean Senafani. Sean's 11th grade safety is going to have to back up Denny Flora. Lou Lorenzo. Louis is a junior wide receiver who's getting better and better. Dave Rosati, sophomore tailback, who will hit you, is rock hard, and all he wants to do is play football. Vince Jurilla, sophomore defensive end, sophomore tight end, who's had an excellent camp, and we think is going to have a real nice future. Jeremy Boom Boom Budai, the lineman that we moved to fullback, and he's found a home. And we'll just have to see how Boom Boom does in this Quad A football. He's going to play both ways for us. Sean DeCristoforo. Sean's going to hang up his basketball sneakers and that round ball for that football and some cleats. Sean had an interception against Sharon for a touchdown. Ben Sharini, another person that came out for track, liked track and came out for football, had an interception against Sharon. Denny Flora. Denny's our tailback and free safety, who we're quite frankly expecting a banner year out of him. Orlando Waller, maybe the smallest middle linebacker in Quad A football, but might be the quickest. We're expecting big things out of Orlando. Anthony Bailey, our two-way performer. Anthony's going to start at tight end, and Anthony's going to start at defensive end. Tanique Montgomery, at 152 pounds, benches about 260 pounds. He's won the starting left corner job and is going to back up Denny Flora. Brandon Haswell, another one of those basketball players who's doing a fine job at wide receiver, and he's battling at the cornerback position. Craig Blues, our starting center, who's out for 3 to 4 weeks with a broken fibula. And we're just counting on Craig to get back as soon as he can. Joe Ropechek, mean Joe Ropechek. If he's smiling, there's something going on. Joe's another one of our two-way performers. He's going to start at tight end and defensive end. Pete Riebman. Pete right now is one of the starting left tackle position. He's going to his senior year, and we're expecting some big things from Petey. Jacob Billick. Jacob starting left guard, backup defensive end. He missed the Sharon game with the sprained neck, and hopefully Jacob will be ready for Friday night against Blackhawk. Jason Peevler. Jason's another one of those track performers that decided to come out for football, and he's backing up DeGennaro at strong safety, and he's trying to get in some tight end playing time. Lance Harrison, Lance the Hitman Harrison. Lance's forte is going to be on special teams, and he's backup wide receiver. Jesse Williams. Noah's brother's not Jason Scott, even though they do look alike, but we're counting on Jesse to do some real good things at offensive tackle. Nicky the Hitman Lewis. Again, Nicky sat out against Sharon with a sprained ankle, and we're playing it day by day. Hopefully Nicky will be ready for the Blackhawk game. Robert Payne is a senior strong safety and senior wide receiver who's fighting to get on some specialty teams. Paul Melly's another one of those up-and-coming sophomore linemen who, with a little bit of lifting and running, is going to be pretty good down the road. Chris Papa, whose daddy played here on a '67 championship football team, is one of our backup centers. And Sam, that's our ball club. I tell you what, I'm tickled to death to be part of that team right there.
You know, I've lived in this community all my life, and I know you left the community. But I wasn't as close to football in the 80s as maybe I should have been due to life and getting on with whatever I had to do. Mm-hmm. But once you came back, I took a new reborn interest. And all of a sudden, I noticed that there's a lot of alumni coaches you've compiled. I'm sure that wasn't just haphazardly. I'm sure you did it by design.
Well, Sam, anytime you start anything new, anytime you start...
Excuse me, Coach. And mostly, mainly, these alumni that you did bring back all came from championship seasons. So they know what it means to win.
Well, Sam, you hit it right there. When you take over a program, and when I took over this program, probably the biggest decision I had to make was who I wanted to lead these kids to the promised land. And when you're talking about leading kids to the promised land, you're talking about it's going to take men, okay, that have some character. It's going to take men that can endure 1-9 seasons, Sam. It's going to take men who are patient enough and talented enough to teach. It's going to take men, okay, who are willing to sacrifice some of their family time to give to this program. See, coaching is a very selfish profession, Sam, because you end up teaching and coaching everybody's kids but your own, and you spend a lot of time away from the family. So every one of these coaches were handpicked. I'm extremely proud to be associated with each and every one of them. And everyone's a little different in themselves. Everyone has their own personality. Everyone has their own way of doing things. I don't want yes men with me, Sam. I want people who are going to salute and go up the hill. And I want them to be able to instill this in kids. So that's why I picked this group of young men.
Well, as you describe them as young men, let's identify them.
Excellent, excellent. The first we'll start with John Flora. John Flora is now our head Ben Franklin football coach, and doing two-a-days, he is going to assist, or has assisted, Billy Humphrey in the secondary. Dennis Alisco. Dennis Alisco is our scout team specialist, meaning when we get into team, Dennis is going to run the scout team. Dennis, I was very fortunate to play with Dennis. Dennis and I went through school together. Dennis is now a practicing lawyer. Chris Sapienza is our offensive line coach and our inside linebacker coach. Probably the most raw coach that we have on his staff. I mean, he'll bark at you, he'll bite at you, he'll pinch you. You know, he just keeps on going. He'll grumble, and he gets as much out of anybody that can possibly be gotten out of. Larry Page. Larry Page was our tailback when I played on the 1973 championship team, okay? And Larry was a big star, as I was saying, was one of those role models, okay? So I remind Larry each and every day who the boss is, okay? And he has no problem with that. But Larry's going to coach our running backs at the Ben Franklin level. Dave Napadano. We picked Dave Napadano up in the winter. Dave worked with the Pop Warner program up at North Hill. I was able to watch him. I liked what he did. I liked how he taught kids. We're going to put Dave in the junior high program. It's so important. Our future is in the 7th, 8th, and 9th grade program, and you need good people down there, and that's where Dave's going to fit in. Jesse Moss, without a doubt, in my opinion, and I was a sophomore and Jesse was the senior, I have about 5 or 6 stitches on my left chin. Without a doubt, to me, the single greatest ball player to ever wear the red and black. Jesse Moss can do it all. And when I first got the job, it was interesting, Sam. Jesse came to me and asked if he can be a part of this program. And I said, why? And he said, because I want to give something back. And let me tell you something, he's given back tenfold. Billy Humphrey, our wide receiver and our secondary coach. Billy really adds a nice flavor to this staff. He's very cerebral. He's not the same type of personality as a Chris Sapienza is. The kids love him. Very, very sharp football coach. When I was at Pitt, he'd come down every so often to talk. Believe me, we're real happy to have a Billy Humphrey on this program. Bobby Parada. Bobby Parada, one of the all-time ground gainers in Newcastle history. Coach Laurel, out of Coach Laurel's mouth, one of the toughest hombres to ever suit up. Bobby last year was our head Ben Franklin coach. Well, him and his wife had their 6th child. Bobby's making sure taxes in Newcastle are going to stay okay. So Bobby now is going to be the assistant at Ben Franklin. Denny Flora, our quarterback coach. Again, this is a guy I had the opportunity to play with. I was a sophomore and Denny was a senior. And what impressed me about Denny Flora so much is pound for pound, this guy's as tough as there is. Does an exceptionally good job as a quarterback coach. Just a great guy you want to have around your football team. As tough as nails, extremely competitive. And that's the type of guy you want to be coached by. Patsy Nurtai, Sam, he's another one of our newcomers that we picked up in the offseason. And what Patsy brings is, here's an ex-All-State guard that's an ex-Hurricane. That's going to bring to us the ability to play no matter what the conditions are. And what I mean is Patsy Nurtai was an all-state guard at 178 pounds. So, you know, Patsy, when Patsy coaches those offensive linemen, he knows exactly what it's going to take. Phil Fava is going on his second year. Phil is helping us in the junior high program. We've had the pleasure of picking Phil up from Shenango, and Phil had the pleasure of playing for Frank Bonjavingo. So we didn't miss a beat there because, as we know, Frank Bonjavingo played for Coach Laurel. So in a way, Phil is a cousin.
He's related, but he never...
That's exactly right. He's related in the bloodlines because he came from Coach Bonjavingo's scheme. Sam Floor, our head trainer. We're so happy to have a trainer such as Sammy. I mean, I tell the parents, anytime a young man gets injured or anything, Sam, he's gonna be taken care of by what we think is the best in Pennsylvania. His assistant is Harry DiTillo, another just good, solid person in the community that's there to assist Sam and make sure the kids get put back on the field as quick as they can. And Randy Rayburn. Randy takes our video, and again, Randy assists Sam Flores. So we have 3 trainers. So, you know, this group of men here, Sam, they make my job a whole lot easier. It's extremely tough on them in this time and era in Newcastle football, but, you know, they chose to be the mules to pull the wagon out, Sam, and they're doing a pretty good job.
Coach, your specialty is defense, am I correct?
Well, Sam, that's what I got paid for at the universities I was at. So, yes, that's what I know a little more than anything else.
So naturally, defense is extremely important to you.
Well, all 3 phases are important, but yes, defense a little closer to my heart.
Why don't we start on the defensive team since it is closer to your heart? And maybe you want to describe some of the depth the Canes possess this year.
Well, what we need to do defensively, Sam, is we need to go with 4 down linemen because this Quad A football league, it's a black and blue league. I mean, it's like playing in the old Detroit Green Bay games. You know, they're going to come out and smack you. So what we want to do is get 4 down linemen. So what we did, we put Joe Robechek and Anthony Bailey at defensive end. We're going to back them up by the young sophomore, Vince Girillo, and we're going to back the other guy up by Billick. Defensive tackles, we're probably going to go with Jason Scott and T.J. Kelly. Pete Reedman's going to play a little defensive tackle. The young sophomore, Nicky Rapko, may play a little bit of defensive tackle. And between 8 or 9 guys, we hope we can get ourselves a little bit of a curtain going. You know, like the steel curtain was, you know, we're going to get a little cane curtain going there, Sam. All right. Now, the whole key is those guys have to eat up blocks. You know, like Pac-Man had to eat up all those people. So our 3 linebackers can run to the football. Our middle linebackers, Orlando Waller, at about 172 pounds. But Orlando can run, and we expect him to go sideline to sideline. We're going to back him up by DeCarbo. Outside linebackers, we'll go with Budai, and we'll go with Nicky Lewis. Behind them, we have a young sophomore by the name of Book, and we have the Ronnie DePorzio backing up the weak outside linebacker. See, to play in this league, we found out we need a little more than 11 people. We got to do some substitution and keep some people fresh. And then in the secondary, Fleur is the only returning starter, and DeGennaro's just come on extremely well at strong safety. And then the cornerback position, Montgomery's won the left one. DeCristoforo has won the right one, and battling them is Brandon Carter and Brandon Haswell.
Do you foresee any surprises in the secondary or the defensive team as it is?
Well, the only surprise we want is all 11 people running to the football. I think a surprise on defense has been the play of Gene DeGennaro. Surprise on defense has been Sean DeCristoforo coming out and winning a starting right corner job. He returns the ball against Sharon for a touchdown.
What have you done differently this year on the defense to improve over last year?
Well, I think the first thing we did is our kids are bigger and stronger and faster, so they feel a little better about themselves. The second thing we did is we went to that 4 down lineman scheme and a 3 linebacker scheme. So, and I keep going back, Sam, this team has had 12 months to prepare. Last year's team had 3 months to prepare. So, you know, we haven't changed a lot of things drastically. I think we just put a little more time in it at doing what we do.
Coach, it seems to me you've really instituted a lot of drills and skills and working individually with each group. Maybe you want to tell us how important each drill and skill and how that makes a better ball player.
Well, Sam, what we try to do as a staff is we try to put the young man into a situation that he's going to face in a football game, okay? So we take time in deciding what drills we want to put him in. because if we don't put them in the right drill, Sam, when they play under those lights, they're not going to know how to react. And that's what coaching's all about. Get them to a point where they know how to react and then get them reacting. And then you have a lot of fun, okay? And then our band director is saying instruments up and we're playing the fight song and we're moving on and on. So that's what coaching's all about. But probably defensively, the #1 drill we like is the Oklahoma drill. That's where we line an offensive man up against a defensive man. He's on the line. The offensive guy has to block. The defensive guy has to defeat the block. We line a running back up, he has to score. We line a defensive back up 15 yards from him, he has to tackle him. So there's 4 people trying to accomplish a task. And most of the time you get 2 of them accomplish, the task. Well, each and every day they're going to get better and better at doing their specific drills. Now, individually, each coach, when we break down, puts his kids in the best situation he can. I coach the defensive line. We take on blocks all day. Billy Humphrey coaches the secondary, and he has to work on defending the pass. Patsy Nurtai has to work on rushing the passer and stopping the run. Each one of these coaches must design the drill, put the kids in the drill, and then let the kids execute it. And then by repetition, they get better and better and better.
Your head in front, Paulie. Keep your head in front. Here we go, Morgan. Here we go, Morgan.
Come on, Mike. Don't chip.
Good. Let's go, Joe. Low. Come on, grab corn. That's it. Grab grass. Let's go. Speed. Let's go, Jimmy. Let's go. Come on, Jimmy. Loosen up. That's it. Get up. That's it. Good. That's it. Ready. Hit. Come on, let's go.
See, in a football game, Sam, you don't think in a football game. Contrary to what people may think, you don't think in a football game. You don't have enough time. What you do is react, Sam. See, there's an old saying in football, okay? If you have to think on a football field, you're a below average player. If you react on a football field, you're a good player, okay? If you anticipate on a football field, by golly, you got a great football player. And that's where you try to get your kids. So that when they go on the field, as soon as they see something, boom, short-term memory pulls it out, and they're reacting, and they're having fun, and they're hooping and hollering. So that's why drills are important.
What have you done differently this year in your defense than you tried to establish last year?
Well, besides the scheme, we try to be a little more reckless. I'll tell you anything, we know our kids better, Sam, so I think we're able to fit our personality. We're able to put something round into a round slot, something square into a square slot. Where last year in 3 months, heck, I didn't know our players like I know them now. So their individual talent is being funneled, okay, to a particular spot on defense. So I think everybody's working as a unit so much better. And again, Sam, the coaching staff is a year older, a year wiser. So we're working together more and more. See, Sam, we're having fun. We just want to swarm. We just want to hunt in packs. We just want to out-hit our opponent, okay? And we just want people, when they get on their bus going home, Sam, and when they're sitting side by side on that bus, regardless of the score, Sam, we want them to say, hey, you know something? That Newcastle football team, they came to hit.
What does hunt and pack mean?
Hunt and pack, the power of the pack, Sam. Wolves, okay? Wolves don't hunt by themselves. They hunt the power of the pack.
So in other words, when the ball is loose, what happens?
When the ball's loose, we got 11 canes running to the football. 11 canes, the only thing they want to do is get after that ball.
Coach, is it all right? After we take this break, we'll discuss the offense.
Sam, I'm ready right now.
Okay.
You're just going to stay on track. It's like you're running a 100-meter dash. Okay? You just stay on that track. Set, hut!
Over 80% of children ages 12 and older will try drugs or alcohol sometime in their lives. Adelphia Cable and the Newcastle City Police Department have teamed together for DARE. We give students accurate information about substance abuse, decision-making skills, and ways to resist peer pressure. Help put an end where drug use begins.
We dare you to say drugs!
Welcome back to Hurricane Preview 94. I'm Sam Trivolino of Adelphia Cable, and with me is head coach Nick Rapone of the Newcastle Red Hurricanes. Coach, one of the interesting things about summer, being a 15, 16, 17-year-old and being part of this Newcastle Red Hurricane program, probably the most interesting has been summer camp, football camp. We've described it most of the times as the best of times and the worst of times.
If you're going through it.
Why don't you describe just a little bit about it?
Well, I think what camp does is, if you're a sophomore, it's the first time you're away from home. I don't care if you go one block, you're away from home. If you're a junior, you know you got to do it again. If you're a senior, you'll make it because you know it's your last time. But you know, Sam, I always tell the guys, you know, 'tis the best of times, 'tis the worst of times, because as you're going through it, it's the worst of times. 5 years down the road, that's all you'll talk about is your camp experience. I mean, to be put up at the Ben Franklin Hilton like they were put up for 2 weeks, you know, to bring in Army cots and sleep on Army cots for 2 weeks, to have some very pleasant maids come in at 5:30 in the morning and wake you up, to get yourself over on a practice field, 6:25, you're in full gear, ready to practice.
Well, Coach, before you go any further, we captured what camp meant 1994. We were here at 5 a.m. in the morning. We left at 8 p.m. Let's take a look at just exactly what you are briefly describing.
Now, Sam, remember, make sure you notice all the smiling faces.
Yeah, buddy. Yo, buddy. 5:15. Time to make the donuts, buddy. Time to make the donuts.
You're going to have a good day today, Jason Scott. You're going to make a stride upward today, Scott. You're ready to make it.
That brings me back to when I was 16 years old.
Oh, it's a beautiful time, Sam. A beautiful time. You can't help but love that.
These students, these kids don't realize what this all meant.
Well, they will, Sam, when they're 25 like you. They'll understand what it means.
25. Go ahead. So, go ahead. Tell me a little bit more about that camp experience.
Well, the camp experience, Sam, quite frankly, we're there so we can grow as a team. You know, we need to sleep next to each other. We need to work with each other. The coaching staff stays there. They don't go home. The coaching staff eats the same food. Coaching staff works the same amount of hours, so the kids understand we're in it for all the right reasons, we understand they're in it for all the right reasons, and let's just get it done. It only lasts 2 weeks. For a blink of an eye, you're back home.
I always said that was the greatest 3 years of my life.
Oh, it sure is, and believe me,
because of the camaraderie.
That's exactly right. The friends you make there, you'll keep for life.
Coach, let's move on now to your offensive strategy, the depth, your plans, and how the offense looks this year.
Well, our first offensive strategy is to get Mr. Zump in the band shelter playing our fight song, because if he's playing our fight song, that means we're scoring. So that's our first strategy, Sam, right there. So we hope that band is playing a lot of music on Friday night. But what we're going to do, Sam, is we're going to line up. We're going to have a 2 tight end offense, and we're going to run the ball the majority of the time. We're going to throw when we want to throw. We're going to throw off a play action. We're going to throw a little bit of 3-step game. And we're going to try to mix it up, Sam, and we're not going to rely solely on the tailback like we did last year. We're going to let the fullback run the ball a little bit. We're going to throw the ball to the wide receiver. We're going to try to spread it out, okay? So defenses have to really sit back and really think about, you know, who they have to defense. They just can't gear up and try to stop one position or one man.
Coach Laurel always supposedly ran one play, the old 28 power. What's in your game?
Well, I'm telling you what, first of all, Coach Laurel just didn't run one play. That just happened to be the play that he ran with the most success. Coach Laurel had numerous plays in his arsenal, but, you know, the nice code word or buzzword is he only ran 28 power. No, what we're going to do, Sam, is we're going to run off power. We're going to go a little more split backs than we did last year. Last year we were an I-back team. And in our playbook, we have roughly 8 plays. And if we can run those 8 plays well, then we think we're going to be okay. And we have about 6 or 7 pass plays. Believe me, you only have 4 days to prepare an offense for the defense you got to play against. So you can't run everything.
Give me a brief description of your offense, position, and players.
Well, what we're going to do, you know, we're going to run 2 tight ends. So the tight ends this year will be Joe Ropechek and Anthony Bailey, and Ronnie DePorzio is going to get some playing time there. Our offensive center, if, you know, Craig Blues was our starting center, and he broke his fibula. And right now, T.J. Kelly has moved in, and we're hoping to get Craig Blues back in 3 or 4 weeks. Offensive guard, we have Jason Scott at the right guard and Jacob Billick at the left guard. And backing them up is a sophomore by the name of Jimmy Pizzone and a couple more sophomores by the name of Ricky Pinella and Paul Melly. At the offensive tackle position, Jesse Williams is going to be a right tackle, and a left tackle is going to be Pete Reedman, and they're backed up by Larry Joseph, a junior. Tailback position, we have Denny Flora naturally coming back, and we're expecting big things from Denny, and he knows it. And then behind him, we have Tanique Montgomery and a young sophomore by the name of Brandon Carter. And we have a couple more sophomores, Dave Rosati and John Million. Fullback position, we move the guard to fullback and Budai. Behind Budai, we're going to go with the DeCarbo boy. Behind him, probably Matt Book and Nicky Rapko. Now, at the quarterback position, we'll make a decision very soon on which guy will start. Both are playing well and hard. Both are learning what it is to compete. And that's the lesson you learn in athletics. It's nothing is given to you. You have to compete. You know, if things don't go right, you can't pout. You got to tighten your belt buckle and go. And Gene DiGennaro and Victor Cabellas are going neck and neck for that starting quarterback position. At the wide receiver slot, we're going to go with 1 wide receiver, sometimes 2. And right now it looks like Haswell is one that started, but Sean DeCristoforo is right on his heels.
Coach, I've been around here for a couple weeks now, doing some raw footage and walking around. Some of the things I don't understand are Blizzard Right, Zen, Waggle at 9, and On the Hop. Sounds like What are you talking about? It sounds like you're in another country. Give me some descriptions.
Well, you are in another country now because when you get out of field, it's like a battlefield. So you're in another country, but that's our terminology. I mean, we have our own language, Sam. We have to come up with words that mean specific things to do on that football field. I mean, football is much more cerebral than people think. And, you know, we're not just those people go out and run into the goalpost with our head. Right. We have a thought process. We have to put a lot of stuff into short-term memory and pull it out exactly when we need it. But we do have our own language. Blizzard's the name of a formation. Trouble's the name of a formation.
Like something you get at Dairy Queen.
Well, it is something you get at Dairy Queen. I mean, there is a Blizzard there, but our kids have had to learn their own language on the football field. I mean, that's what's so interesting, Sam, is that the kids have to grow mentally also. I mean, that's why we use those classrooms at Ben Franklin for two times a day. 14 days, right. So they can learn our language, and when we say something, they have a mental picture that they're able to take it out and use it.
Saturday was scrimmage day against the Old Sharon Tigers, the nemesis of the Red Hurricanes back in the late 60s and early 70s.
The old MAC.
When we return, Coach, we're going to take a look at how your team did against the Sharon Tigers right after this. At Adelphia Cable, we firmly believe that the education of our youth is vital to the success of our community.
Welcome back to the Red Hurricane preview. At this point, I'd like to again talk about some of our fine sponsors. And we're talking about Central Heating and Plumbing. We're talking about the Days Inn, located in downtown Newcastle. We're talking about Gary's Clothing, Phil Fitz Ford, and Buzz and Rich's Tavern. Without them, some of this would not be possible.
Coach, let's go to Saturday. I know today is, what, Tuesday, Monday? Saturday, Taggart Stadium, 10 a.m. Describe your thoughts.
Well, our thoughts were, you know, let's finish up on a good, a real good positive feeling. You're in there for 2 weeks. You're a little battered. We were extremely battered, Sam. We played without 8 football players. But the lesson you learn there, Sam, is whoever is dressed has to play. So we wanted to end up positive so we can start the preparation against Blackhawk with a good feeling. And the kids came out and played football. It's always great to play in front of your hometown. It's always great to look up in those stands. I mean, we had quite a crowd, and the kids performed well. So going into the Blackhawk week of preparation, we feel good. We feel upbeat.
What are some of the strengths you saw Saturday?
Well, what we saw is that our running back is able to carry the football. He went 64 yards. We found that a wide receiver is able to catch the ball. Both quarterbacks performed well. The offensive line, we were able to ball control a little bit. Our fullback had some success. Defensively, you know, we played better than, quite frankly, I thought we would. We had 5 fumble recoveries and 3 interceptions. So, you know, maybe the kids played because they wanted to get out of camp, Sam. I don't know. But, boy, they played well, and we were happy. Okay.
What are some of the weaknesses you're going to have to work on this year?
Well, some of
what you've seen in the Sharon scrimmage.
Well, I mean, from a defensive point of view, we're going to have to tackle better, and we're going to have to play, you know, as the game went longer, I thought that some of our intensity fell off a little bit, and then we picked it up at the end. You know, you can't have laws in this, you know, you can't. Against the people we play against, it's just too good a competition. You just got to keep on playing.
Philosophically, how do you critique a ball player these days so that you get the most out of them? You get their motivation going. Everybody has highs and lows. What do you do individually to motivate these guys?
Well, the first thing is we tell them what type of coaching staff we are, Sam. We tell them we are going to hard coach you. We are going to challenge you. We are going to get in your face, not physically, you know, mentally. We're going to make it known that we expect a certain degree of effort and a certain degree of performance. We also tell them, don't take it personally. We critique your performance. We don't critique the performer. Off the football field, you are somebody different. What we critique is how you perform on the field, and we want to make sure our kids understand that. Once they get on the field, they have to perform, and that's what we critique. We don't critique the boy personally. That's not our job. Our job is to get him to another level performance-wise.
Give me some of the goals you have for 94.
Well, our goals for 94, Sam, without a doubt, I mean, you'd like to play in the playoffs. Our other goal is, you know, to be competitive. I mean, you're at Newcastle. You want to play in the playoffs. And, you know, somebody may say, well, you went 1-9. I don't care we went 1-9. The sun's shining today. It's a new day. It's a new season. We're excited. We're prepared. I mean, you know, we're just going to play 10 football games and play as hard as we can for as long as we can, and we're going to see what happens.
Tell me what you want to say to the fans.
What I want to say to the fans, come on out. This is your football team. This is your community, and I'll tell you, these kids need to know there's red and black behind them. These kids need to turn around and see you when it's 3rd and 1, raise your hands up and say go for it. These kids need, when they're backed up on a goal line and it's 4th and inches, they need to hear you holler from the, you know, hollering from the stands, hold them, hold them. I mean, it is a community football team. That's what's beautiful about Newcastle.
As we close, Coach, I just want to tell you from my heart, I wish you have the greatest season, the best of luck to you, and I hope nobody ever gets injured over there.
Oh, my goodness, nobody ever gets injured. Well, I'll tell you what, Sam, we do too, and I'll tell you what, Sam, I wish we can take your heart and put it in some of those players, because it's important, Sam, that these kids seize the moment, enjoy their high school days, because such as you and I, a lot of times we just sit around and talk about them. They're so special. You know that sand in the hourglass, Sam? It's already turned over for them, and they only have a little bit of, seniors have a little bit of sand left. Juniors have a little more. Sophomores have a whole hourglass full of sand. So, you know, we want them to have fun, seize the day, and then when they're our age, Sam, 29 and 28, they can look back and reflect on Red Hurricane tradition.
Good luck, Nick.
Thanks, Sam.
Pennsylvania, some pretty good teams over there. That's for sure, Pat. And for the first time in a long time, Sharon and Farrell will not play each other, but Sharon's coming over to play a couple Still Valley teams. Mike Ackelson has more on Western Pennsylvania.
6 years, I think. The Sharon Tigers are the defending Mercer County champs. They returned 14 lettermen and 6 starters. The big question mark is on defense.
We only return a down tackle, a defensive end, and an inside linebacker, so filling the gaps in the secondary and getting some people to come along up front.
One area where the Tigers look to excel is at the skill position.
Quarterback, fullback, tailback.
For the first time since 1987, the Sharon Tigers won't have their traditional opener with Farrell. Instead, they'll come across the state line here to Stanball Stadium to take on the Ursuline Irish. Up next is the Farrell Steelers. They return 5 starters, 4 on offense and 1 on defense. But with only 29 boys out for football, Farrell must stay healthy.
If we get some injuries to some starters, we got real problems because we just don't have backup people equal to the starters. That's my biggest concern. That's been our concern over the years here because of the small numbers.
The Steelers open on the road at Mohawk. Another team coming off a playoff appearance is the Mercer Mustangs. They returned 17 lettermen, 7 starters, and the strength of this year's club is at the skill position.
Our overall speed, we're a lot faster than we've been in the past. Our backfield, I feel, is going to be the best one we've had in years.
A main concern is the health of the men in the trenches.
The depth on our offense and defensive lines right now. We're a little thin in some positions, and we can't afford to get too many people banged up.
The Mustangs open up the season at Kennedy Christian. Hickory's coming off a disappointing '93 campaign, but they have a lot of experience returning with 22 lettermen.
For the last 2 years, we played sophomores when they were sophomores, and then they started now as juniors. And most of these kids are seniors, and they should have 3 years underneath their belt.
And the Hornets are going to mix it up on the offense.
I like to keep things wide open, so we're probably going to be in a semi-spread look and a one-back look and try to run and throw the football.
Hickory opens the season at home against Brookfield. Kennedy Christian is also coming off a playoff season. The Eagles return 15 starters, 7 on defense, 8 on offense, and there's a lot of power up front for the Eagles.
Our offensive line should be a definite strength for us.
The squad's also learning the new playbook pretty fast.
I'm blessed with not only talented athletes, but extremely gifted students, and you know, that's a plus when you're putting in a new offense and a defense.
The Eagles open at home against Mercer. Newcastle's in the second year of rebuilding their program, and they feel the need to get off to a good start.
Our biggest concern is that, we haven't had success in the last couple of years, and if you haven't had success, there's going to be some times in a ball game where we're not having success, and hopefully we'll push through the barrier and, and fight through a little bit of adversity.
The Hurricanes returned 15 lettermen and 8 starters, plus a potent running game.
The tailback was, all conference last year, and we're expecting a lot of things out of them this year, and we have some size up front in the line, so hopefully if they can make some progress through 2 days, and, we'll be okay.
Newcastle opens the season at Blackhawk. West Middlesex enters the '94 campaign.